Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
Brian in Oregon wants to talk about a JW friend. How you doing, Brian? You're on with Phil and Matt. Welcome to the Hang Up.
Good. Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Longtime fan.
How can we help?
Well, so I've been an atheist for about a year. I'd say 2 years, but the first year was kind of touch and go. I was back and forth. I think shame and guilt would allow me to kind of go back a little bit, and I'd have that, what one of the guys that you were talking to last weekend was talking about religious ideation, and I think I had some of that for the first year. It was like, well, maybe the shame and guilt, the shame and guilt would make you feel like you needed to rush back into the arms of the church. And now I'm at a point where I'm an atheist. I'm proud to be an atheist. I'm a secular humanist, that you talk about the morality of atheism doesn't have a morality, but secular humanism does. And so, I really feel like I'm on this new righteous path. But unfortunately, I have religious friends that, I just lost a dear friend of mine that we've known each other since high school. She's a Jehovah's Witness, and, I have no problem with her religion. Do I agree with her religion? No, of course not. But she was a great person. She's got a 12-year-old daughter who's lovely and great and smart, and I lost this friend. It really hurt a lot. And the reason being was because my wife and I came out as atheists. And, she's always posting things on Facebook, like her religious stuff, and God bless this and God bless that. And so one time I just wrote this innocuous statement about atheism. And now over time, it got to the point where it really offended her. And so in her final letter to me, she messaged me. She didn't even talk to me in person. She kind of told me about the end of days were coming and that you were a part of the bad in the world and all this stuff. And I just went, wow, I didn't realize she was so far gone. And so I kind of wanted to talk to you just to kind of, ask you what's going on with the evangelicals in this country, and how can they, so readily fall into the arms of Trump? Is it a power structure thing? Is it a delusion thing? Is it a magical thinking thing? I just kind of wanted to see how we stay the course as atheists in a way that makes us feel like we're, walking the straight and narrow path of righteousness, doing the right thing for ourselves.
Well, Brian, there's a whole lot in there. And of course, you tangled with a pretty hardcore religion there, Jehovah's Witnesses can be. And, I don't know that I have a whole lot of easy answers for you. And I'm pretty sure you didn't expect a whole bunch of easy answers. But it can be a real challenge talking to people that are very religious, because the fundamental of the religion, especially like with Jehovah's Witnesses and some other denominations, is that they are specifically designed to kick you out the moment they realize you are a threat. As an example, a good friend of mine was an atheist, and his wife was religious, and their kids went to Sunday school and the church, and he stayed out of it and just stayed at home, didn't say anything. And when the kids got to be like 13 and 15, he sat them down and said, okay, I think you're now old enough to understand a different perspective, so I want to tell you what I think. And the 15-year-old, his daughter, he had a daughter and a son, the 15-year-old said, we were warned that this would happen, and we've been told to not listen to you. And the two of them got up and left the room. And my friend called me in tears, and he said that he just lost his children. And I had to break it to him that he didn't just lose them. He just found out that he already had lost them. And the religions that are successful often have things like that, where there's the procreation, there's the separation, making sure that you're not talking to people. So a lot of times the best you can do is just be there for them, be a friend. Maybe if you can still write a letter back to them, maybe a handwritten letter even, and say, I understand your perspective. I understand that you're concerned, but I'm still here for you. If you ever have questions, if you ever want to talk, and nothing may ever come of it. But if she ever gets to a point where she has questions, if she knows that you're a safe place to go, maybe you can be the best friend ever possible when that happens.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You know, I always thought that my wife and I were her kind of gateway to normalcy, that we were the atheist that she could trust, that we've always proven to her that we're, you know, we're not judgmental people. We love her. We love her kid. And, you know, and I just thought we had a understanding. And so for her to kind of freak out like that, it was like, wow, it was weird. And then you start, yeah, well, I was going to say, and then you start questioning the veracity of the church itself. I mean, because I've seen videos about the Jehovah's Witnesses and how it's kind of ran like a corporation and how there's a lot of exclusionism. And I believe, you know, she had a baby out of wedlock. And so I'm really quite surprised that they even let her to stay in the church after all that, you know. And she's a beautiful kid, great kid. But, you know, I really thought that she understood, you know, the trappings of the Jehovah's Witness ideology, and that, you know, she's very well spoken. She, you know, when we talk about Trump, she gets it, and so it just seems like she's really almost there. Like she's almost as normal as you and me.
It's deceptive.
The problem is that,
and yet,
both religions, and to some aspect, the hardcore Trump supporters, who I view as quasi-religious, both of those things are being sold on the back of fear and community. And in particular, a fear of a loss of community. Somebody's coming to take your job. Somebody's coming to take your guns. Somebody's coming to take away Christmas. Somebody's coming to do this. And that's what they're all predicated on. And it's a fear of change. It's a fear of finding yourself on the wrong side of all this. It is a reduction in the privilege status, because religion in the United States has had a monumentally privileged status, not just with regard to tax exemption, but it's just, you know, if I pack up and move from one city to another, there's a church there, and I'm going to be asked about going to church almost immediately. You know, I'm going to move in, somebody's going to come over to my house in my neighborhood, give me cookies and invite me to their church. That's just the way that sort of thing works. And once you get people to accept this in one area, it's going to keep going to where they accept it in other areas as well. And there's not always an easy way to get someone out of that, because it's incredibly comfortable. If everybody around you believes the same thing, if only a small group of people out there believed the earth was flat, or that masks didn't work, or that COVID wasn't real, or any of those things, we would never know about it. In the early days, that when I've hosted the Atheist Experience for 15 years, when I first started doing it, I said something along the lines of, nobody believes in, you know, the Greek gods anymore. And I immediately got an email from somebody who did, because you just don't hear about them.
Yeah.
And now I have a friend who, you know, has these pagan god beliefs. I find it bizarre as fuck, but I genuinely like him, and I'm happy to have those conversations. But there may not always be a way forward. And so if you've done your best to show that you're willing to be the best friend that you can be, and that's not acceptable, then give that friendship to somebody who's willing to accept it and deserves it.
And Brian, I don't know, you might enjoy it. I have an old talk on YouTube called Breaking the Cycle, How to Get Kids Out of Religion, where I go over during an hour ideas of how to help kids think through magic, through Greek and Roman mythology, through movies, through education, through different things. And maybe you find something useful there. But yeah, if someone just goes hardcore and cuts you out, you may not really be able to do anything because you try too hard. Just like I told my friend, he's like, well, how do I get to my kids? And I said, all you can do is be a good dad and hope that someday they want to talk to you. But that's about all you got, I'm afraid.
Right.
They got them before you did.
Yeah. Well, and that's right. And that's the thing about these two. You know, the child is a student. She loves science. So she's not in any way, shape, or form backwards. You know, they understand the right versus left thing. They understand science. They understand reason. And so it's all the more dumbfounding that they would be a part of religion and indoctrinated in such an extreme way. And, you know, I never really thought much about it until she talked about this apocalypse, end of days, and certain people would be chosen. Yeah. And, you know, it's almost as though they're becoming sympathizers of not only the evangelical sect of society, but they're also taking sides with Trump and Trumpism in a way that I find bizarre because, Trump is obviously anything but Christian, and it's just weird to me.
Yep, fair enough.
Well, somebody called him an atheist earlier, and other people have done this, and every time they do, I'm like, why? Please stop. Please stop claiming that Trump is an atheist. He's never said he's an atheist, as far as I know. He's always identified a certain way. It is, first of all, just rude not to accept someone's self-identification, but it's also fucking stupid to claim that one of the most immoral, unintelligent, garbage people on the planet as one of us. No thanks.
Yeah, but, no doubt.
On that note, Brian,
I think the reason why I got into it,
I got another Brian. So either you can hang up on us or we can hang up on you.
I would like to be hung up on because, what?
Do you want me to do it while you're talking? Because I'm gonna.
Yeah, do it.
Bye, Brian.
Do it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, Brian.
Yeah, that was a good call.
I like that. I like the notion that, here's somebody who I tried being friends with despite disagreement. I had this come up in a question in a different way. On Sunday, I spoke to a group in Florida over Zoom, so I could have done it from home. But I made the joke when the event started. I was like, I love you guys so much that I drove 18 hours so I could Zoom from this from tiny room, rather than doing it from home.
Well, it's funny. We have a family friend that I've known for, I don't know, probably 20 years, and kind of in my head is a pet project also, try to get her free from religion. At one point, she found out that her husband was embezzling money from his employer and using it on cocaine and hookers, which I'm with you. I have no problem. Matter of fact, prostitution should be legal. He just shouldn't be lying to his wife. But he got caught, and she wouldn't divorce him because they were married by God and had to stay together, even though he was lying and cheating and stealing and all this stuff. And years and years and years and years went by. And about a year ago, we were having a conversation in the before time, before COVID, and we're sitting at the dinner table, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, she's like, "I'm not Christian." What? So she did that on her own, but we've been there for her the whole time. So sometimes you can get lucky like that.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.